Give praise, glory, and honor to the Most High Yah by way of Yahushua HaMashiach. John chapter 5 and verse 39. And it says, search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. You know, to have a love of the Most High in you, you got to be willing to do certain things that the average person wouldn't be willing to do. So I want you to look at John 14, about verse 15. John 14, about verse 15. He says, if you love me, keep my commandments, and I will pray the Father, he shall give you another comforter, that he may abide with you forever. Even the Ruach of truth, which the world cannot receive, because it see him not, neither know him, but ye know him, for he dwell with you, and shall be in you. Now notice he said that he would give you another comforter. We knowing that, as we already looked at earlier, when we were looking at all the feast days in the law and in the prophets, if it was bear witness, if they testify of Mashiach, should we keep them? And we looked at that 8th day symbolizing the circumcision of your hearts. You know, to be able to receive the Ruach HaKodesh, you have to be circumcised in your heart. And that would be that comforter, to be able to ease you through that particular process. But the key thing of what he referred to is, he said that the world doesn't know him. Now we know when Mashiach prayed, he said, Kadesh Father, the world have not known thee, but I have known thee, and these have known that thou hast sent me. The reason why they are able to know that he sent him is because they knew the word and they believe the word. So a lot of people sit back and they don't know the word. Therefore they can't get it. As we done spoke before, you know, the natural man cannot receive the things of the spirit because he is not privy to them. See, let's look at Habakkuk chapter 2. Matter of fact, let me take that back. Zechariah chapter 11. Zechariah 11, about verse 9. He said, then said I will not feed you that die, let it die. And that is to be cut off, let it be cut off. And let the rest eat every one flesh of another. And I took my staff beauty and cut it asunder, that I might break my covenant which I made with all the people. And it was broken in that day, so the poor of the flock that waited upon me knew that it was the word of Yahuwah. And I said unto them, if you think good, give me my price, and if not, forbear. So they weighed for my price 30 pieces of silver. Yahuwah said unto me, cast it unto the potter a goodly price, that I was prized of them. And I took the 30 pieces of silver and cast them to the potter in the house of Yahuwah. Then I cut asunder my other staff, even bands, that I might break the brotherhood of Yehudah and Yasharah. What do you think that's referring to, John? What do you think that's talking about? What do you think that's talking about? He said, I will take beauty and cut it asunder. Y'all got any idea, gentlemen? You got any idea? Everybody good and quiet. I guess ain't nobody got no idea. Well, who is beauty? He said, I'll take my staff, even beauty, and cut it asunder, that I might break my covenant. Let's look at Hebrews 8 and 7. Or about 8 and 5, actually. Then after that, Joshua chapter 5. Eight and 6. He says, but now have he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. For if that first covenant had been faultless, then there should have been no place sought for the second. So now he say he's breaking this covenant that he made with beauty, that he might break his covenant with the people. What is the covenant with the people that he made? This is the covenant that he made to choose the children of Yasharal to be his people. He had to break it for a specific reason. Now I was looking, so let's gotta get on this here. Favor. Now you know another word for beauty is going to be here in this translation here is favor. And the Hebrew word for it is noam. And it means kindness, pleasantness, delightfulness, beauty, favor. Now, he said he would take beauty and break it. Let's look at, before we read Joshua chapter 5, get Isaiah 53 and 1. Remember the key thing, he said, he that believe on me, as the scripture hath said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. And this spake Yahusha of the Ruach HaKodesh, with those that believe on him should receive. If you don't believe on this man, as the scripture has said, it's because you have not known him. The reason why you have not known him, because you have not known his word. Remember when he healed that blind man and he asked him, he said, do you believe on the son of Elohim? He say, show me him and I will. He say, it is he who speak to you and you see him. You know what I'm telling you? You know, and we talked about that a long while back when we were talking about let me behold the wondrous things open my eyes to behold the wondrous things out of thy Torah. And you sit back and look at when you know the word. Like folks who we read Isaiah 53 and 1, get John 6 and 44. When you know the word, then you can be able to know the spirit of truth and be able to receive it. If you don't know the word, there would be absolutely no way you would know the spirit of truth to be able to receive it. It says, no man can come to me except the Father which hath sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day. It is written in the prophets, and they shall all be taught of Elohim. Every man therefore that have heard and have learned of the Father come unto me. Not that any man hath seen the Father, save he which is of Elohim, he hath seen the Father. Remember when we talked about that with Melchizedek, showing Abraham who he was. Obviously Melchizedek knew Yah, so he was able to manifest that to Abraham, and he knew Yah. And then obviously Abraham taught that to his household, and Yah could manifest himself to Isaac, and he could manifest himself to Jacob. You know what I'm saying? Even when you look at with Paul, he was able to manifest himself to Paul because Paul was taught in the perfect manner of the law. He knew the word. You know what I'm saying? When you got a lot of people that they don't know the word, therefore they can't come to him. Therefore they can never receive the spirit of truth. Let's sit back on what we're referring to. All the people like Halloween just passed, right? All these people out in the world, you know what I'm saying? They seem like there's no problem with it whatsoever. Even people look at these feast days, and they look back. If I seen a brother say, a lot of people got the mind of Moses and not the mind of a Mashiach. And they take it because you know the law and you'll follow the law, that you don't know the spirit of truth when that same law came from that same spirit which would give you the mind of a Mashiach. Because that's what he did. He followed the word. He knew it. So because he knew it, he knew truth when he seen it, he wasn't going to be able to be deceived. Like Mashiach said, if it was possible, the very elect would be deceived. The very elect are those that are chosen. Those that are chosen, Yah would have revealed himself to them. Those who Yah has revealed himself to, they would know him. Therefore, there could be no way where anyone could deceive them. You understand what I'm saying? You know, a lot of people get deceived because they actually never knew Yah in the first place. Therefore, they could never attain to what they desire. The 53rd chapter, Isaiah, the first verse. He says, who have believed our report, and to whom is the arm of Yahuwah revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He have no form of comeliness, and we shall see him. And when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. Well, he just sat back and said he would take beauty and cut her in asunder to break his covenant with the people. Now, what's the first time we can look at and we see the covenant being broken with the people? You know where that's at? You know where it's at, Ryan? You know where it's at, Pale? Well, the first, you can go to Jeremiah 11:1. The first time you see that happening, when Moses came off the mountain, he threw the tables down. You know what I'm saying? Those tables were written by the finger of Elohim, which means everything upon them were beautiful. Anything that comes from Yah is beautiful. Nothing that comes from Yah is not beautiful. What they didn't sit back and realize when they were seeing a Mashiach going through what he was going through, there was no beauty that they desired him. There was no glory. There was no esteem. That's all that's referring to. There was nothing about him where they wanted that he was being afflicted. You know what I'm saying? You find that beautiful? You getting slapped up, beat up? You don't find that beautiful, are you? That's not going to something that's going to draw you, is it? Jeremiah 11:1. The word that came to Jeremiah from Yahuwah, saying, Hear ye the words of this covenant, and speak unto the men of Yehuda and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and say thou unto them, Thus saith Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal, Cursed be the man that obeyed not the words of this covenant, which I commanded your fathers in the day that I brought them forth out of the land of Mizraim from the iron furnace, saying, Obey my voice, and do them according to all which I command you, so you shall be my people, and I will be your Elohim. See, that's the thing that messed us up. We didn't want to obey his voice. See, he said in Psalms 95, right? He said, This people have not known my ways. Well, why did they not know his ways? Because their heart was hardened by the deceitfulness of sin. See, sin was a delightful thing to him. Like we talked about standing fast in your freedom in the Mashiach and not going back into the yoke of bondage. See, obviously these people couldn't even know Yah whatsoever, because all they were looking at is, you know what? We had cucumbers here. We walking in this wilderness here. This is why he had to weed these people out. See, come over here to Numbers 14, about 33. Matter of fact, make it 26. He said, Yahuwah spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying, How long shall I bear with this evil congregation which murmur against me? I've heard the murmurings of the children of Yasharal, which they murmur against me. Say unto them, As truly as I live, saith Yahuwah, as you have spoken in my ears, so will I do to you. Your carcasses shall fall in this wilderness, and all that were numbered of you according to your whole number from 20 years old and upward, which have murmured against me. Doubtless you shall not come into the land concerning which I swear to make you dwell therein, saith Caleb the son of Jephnah and Yahusha the son of Nun. But your little ones which ye have said should be a prey, them will I bring in, and they shall know the land which ye have despised. But as for you, your carcasses shall fall in this wilderness. If he say their carcasses will fall in the wilderness, right, what did he tell you the wilderness means? You know what the wilderness means? No, no. It's sin. You know what I'm saying? That's what the name of the wilderness is, not bondage. They named it sin.
Yeah, it's sin. Bondage is sin. Sin is bondage.
It's not the same thing here, sir. It's not the same thing here, sir. It's not the same thing. Now you notice that he said the people who doubted him, who despised him, their children would fall in sin and they would perish there. But we turn around and we don't look at a Mashiach and we don't sit back and look at that he is that salvation. See, they didn't know Yah, that's why they despised him. You know what I'm saying? He that despised the size of not man but Elohim, because these people's hearts were not circumcised. See, we mentioned Joshua chapter 5. Let's look at it now. Joshua chapter 5 and about verse 3. Or verse 2. At the time Yahuwah said unto Yahusha, Make these sharp knives and circumcise again the children of Yasharal the second time. Yahusha made them sharp knives and circumcised the children of Yasharal at the heel of the foreskins. And this is the cause why Yahusha did circumcise. All the people that came out of Mizraim that were males, even all the men of war, died in the wilderness by the way after they came up out of Mizraim. Now the people that will come up out of, now all the people that came out were circumcised, but all the people that were born in the wilderness, by the way, as they came forth out of Mizraim, them they had not circumcised. Now when we turn around and look at it, And I think Psalm 51, he's talking about how I was conceived in iniquity and I was born in sin. When we turn around and we look at it, we were born into sin and transgression because we were born in this world and we had to be circumcised again. When they turn around and be circumcised again, that means, as we talked about a couple weeks ago, remember what he said in Jeremiah about your ears? Or not even a couple weeks ago, this week, you know what he said about your ears? You know what he said? He said your ears are uncircumcised. The word of Yahuwah is a reproach to you. You don't have a delight in it. See, then the reason why there'd be a reproach means a dishonor, mean you don't know him. So let's look at 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. I meant to hit it last night. Didn't hit it. See, because those people didn't know him in the wilderness, wrath fell upon them. Those who did know him, they were spared from that wrath. So those men were stiff-necked. They didn't want to seek out the land. They didn't want to dwell in the land. They were fearful, didn't trust him. They were cowards, so to speak. Listen what he tell you. But let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for a helmet the hope of salvation. For Elohim have not pointed us to wrath, but obtained salvation by our Master Yahushua HaMashiach, who died for us, that whether we wake or sleep, we should live together with him. Wherefore comfort yourselves together and edify one another, even as also ye do. Now what you think this could mean about putting on that breastplate of faith and of love? What you think that could be referring to? You got an idea, Jim Dan? You know, it is. When you putting on that breastplate, that means the word is in you. It's in your heart. It's in your mind. Don't mess with that. You know what I'm saying? When they say put that breastplate on, who you know sit back and you see putting on a breastplate of faith and righteousness? Look at Exodus chapter 20. A breastplate of faith and love. Verse 15. It said, thou shalt make the breastplate of judgment with cunning work. After the work of an ephod thou shalt make it of gold, of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet, and of fine twined linen thou shalt make it. 4 square it shall be, being double. The span shall be the length thereof, and the span shall be the breadth thereof. And thou shalt set it in setting stones, even 4 rows of stones. The first row a sardius, a topaz, a carbuncle. This shall be the first row. Second row shall be an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. A third row a ligar, an agate, and an amethyst. And the fourth row a beryl, a onyx, and a jasper. And they shall be set in gold in their enclosures. And the stones shall be with the names of the children of Yasharal, 12 according to their names, like the engravings of a signet. Every one with his name shall they be according to the 12 tribes. Now, y'all remember we looked at time past, this referring to those same stones that was in the 28th chapter of the book of Ezekiel. You know what I'm saying? Represent the tribes. Now, who has this? This is referring to the breastplate of what the high priest should wear. If he got this breastplate of judgment on, we know that a Mashiach say, what are the weightier matters of the law? You know what the weightier matters of the law? What's the weightier matters of the law? He said in the 23rd chapter of Matthew, in the 23rd verse, the weightier matters of judgment, mercy, and faith. You know what I'm saying? He told you when you put on this breastplate that you would have the judgment of faith and love for him who died for us. Do you notice what colors that they said that breastplate should be made out of? You know what colors he said it was? But what colors did he say they were?
Purple, scarlet.
Purple and scarlet, one of them. You remember where that come from? What that purple and scarlet are referred to, Blank?
I just remember the robe.
They put a purple robe on the Mashiach, right? Put a scarlet robe on him. So when you see him with that robe on, you know what that's referring to? That's that breastplate of judgment. He's got the 12 tribes over his heart. Through faith and love, he's willing to lay his life down for these people. Now you got to turn around and sit back and realize he's telling you to arm yourself with the same breastplate of judgment, which is meaning putting the word right there in your heart. Which he said, which is the new covenant, which you make. What's wrong with you? Which would mean the word would be in your heart. If the word is in your heart, then you would know him. And if you would know him, then you couldn't be deceived. So let's look at 1 John chapter 4. We come back to Zechariah. He said, I got to break that staff of favor, of delightfulness. I guess we'll finish that Ruth chapter 2. It says about 1 John chapter 4, about verse 4. Ye are of Elohim, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. They are of the world, therefore they speak they of the world, and the world hear them. We are of Elohim, he that know Elohim hear us. He that is not of Elohim hear not us. Hereby we know the spirit of truth and spirit of error. You know, the first time we see an example of that is when them people come back with the report of the land. Those that were the spirit of error said they were giants in the land and they couldn't overtake it. Those who were the spirit of truth, they said we can do all things that Yah said. Therefore there was a known difference, because he said Caleb had a different spirit with him. He didn't have the same spirit with him that the others did, because these people actually didn't believe. That's what we able to know the difference between the two. But now the reason why we came here is to sit back and look at it. He said he took the staff of favor and delightfulness and he broke the covenant with it. Let's go look at Ruth chapter 2. Finish Ruth on out. Ruth 2 and 8. Then said Boaz unto Ruth, Hearest thou not, my daughter? Go not to glean in another field, neither glean from hence, but abide here fast by my maidens. Let thy eyes be on the field that they do reap, and go thou after them. Have not I charged the young men that they shall not touch thee? And when thou art athirst, go into the vessels and drink of that water which the young men have drawn. Then she fell on her face and bowed herself to the ground and said unto him, Why have I found grace in thy eyes, that thou should take knowledge of me, seeing I am a stranger? Boaz answered and said unto her, If it had fully been showed me all that thou hast done unto my mother-in-law since the death of thy husband, and how thou hast left thy father and mother, and the land of thy nativity, and are come unto a people which thou knew not heretofore. Yahuwah recompense thy work, and a full reward be given thee of Yahuwah Elohim or Yasharal, under whose wings thou art come to trust. What does that sound like? What story do you get from that? What can you glean from that, so to speak? Since he's talking about gleaning something, what you glean from it? Listen what he told her. He said, let her eyes be on the field that they do reap. Go after them. I have not charged the young men. Have I not charged the young men that they shall not touch thee? And when you are thirst, go unto the vessels and drink that which the young men have drawn. Then she said, why would you take knowledge of me? Because I'm a stranger. He said, it's been showed me what you did with my mother-in-law and how you left all and came to a people which you didn't know. What did that sound like to you? That sound like anything to any of y'all? Anybody got it? You got anything? Well, let's look at 2 Peter chapter 1, about verse 12. He said, wherefore I will not be negligent to put you always in remembrance of these things, though you know them, and establish them in the present truth. Yeah, I think it meet as long as I'm in this tabernacle to stir you up by putting you in remembrance. Knowing that shortly I must put off this my tabernacle, even as our master Yahushua HaMashiach have showed me. Moreover, I will endeavor that you be able to, after my decease, to have these things always in remembrance. For we have not followed cunningly devised fables. We have made known unto you the power and coming of our master Yahushua HaMashiach. But we are the witnesses, but we're eyewitnesses of his majesty. Now he said, she said, why would you take knowledge of me, seeing that I'm come and am a stranger? He told her, you done dealt with your mother-in-law, your mother-in-law, after the death of your husband. You dealt faithfully with her and left everything you've ever known. What you think that could be referring to? It ain't that hard. Why you ain't got nothing for me, right?
I think when he said, like our father and our mother, from somewhere get noticed when the Lord came down from heaven.
There you go. Come on, look at Genesis chapter 2. Matter of fact, make it Ephesians 5 and 33. Well, about verse 30. Ephesians 5 and 30. It was ready, wasn't it? He said, for we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bone. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning a Mashiach and the body. Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife, even as himself, and see that the wife reverence her husband. Well, we turn back around. Let's come back over here to Ruth chapter 2. Now he said, why would you take knowledge of me, seeing I'm a stranger? We know that it said about a Mashiach, he came unto his own, and his own received him not. You know what I'm saying? So when they eyesight, he was a stranger. They said they knew him, but who is he that he speak these great words? You know what I'm talking about? Who is this man that he performed all these miracles? Who do you think that you are? Don't you realize that he told these people, he said, I know where I come from. You don't know where I come from. I know who sent me. You don't know who sent me. He said, I keep his saying. If I said I didn't, I'd be a liar like unto you. You know what I'm saying? How's the fact that a Mashiach could know his sayings? Because a Mashiach knew his word. Man, we talked about that last night. Your word is within my heart. See, even when you turn around and look at before he was manifested in the flesh, he was circumcised in the heart. Then he actually came in the flesh and was circumcised in the flesh and then circumcised in the heart. So he could turn around and circumcise us in the heart the second time. That's why he had to take his delightfulness and break that staff. He had to break that covenant. There would have been no way for you to be circumcised again if he doesn't do it. If he don't break it again, like we just read the other day, we're all men most miserable. We have no hope whatsoever. See, what we didn't read in Joshua 5, he said they rolled a stone at that time, and they called the place Gilgal, the same way they rolled the stone off of Mashiach's grave. The same way Jacob rolled the stone off the well to water the flocks. The same, sitting back looking at this, referring to this circumcision, the rolling away of iniquity. The only reason why he could be able to roll this iniquity off of you is because he placed upon himself that breastplate of judgment, and that breastplate of judgment carried faith and love. The faith that he had in the Father, that he would raise him from the dead, and the love that he had for us for laying his life down. You know what I'm saying? And as we've been talking about through the course of the last week and a half, knowing that this man has laid his life down for you, ought you not to lay your life down for him? See, that's the sure sign of circumcision. You can't get life unless you die first. You know, we established this on numerous occasions. We done talked about this on numerous occasions. And that's the only way you're going to do it. The reason why some of y'all done made the errors that you done made recently is because you have not chose to die. If you would have died, you would have been impervious to those frailties. Those things would have not happened. It just wouldn't have happened. And y'all know it wouldn't have happened. But because you stayed well and alive, these things were able to happen and be able to manifest because you did not slay these things when they started. Matter of fact, since I say that, Colossians chapter 3. Three and about 12. I'm sorry, about 5. That's what we need. This looking like, listen what it tell you in 3 and 5. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanliness, inordinate affection, evil conspicuance, and covetous, which is idolatry. For which things sake the wrath of Elohim come on the children of disobedience, in which ye walked also sometime when you lived in them. Now we turn around and look at it. He say the wrath of Elohim come on the children of disobedience because of fornication. Well, let's look at the first place we can see fornication and uncleanliness in Exodus, the 32nd chapter. Egbert, you chilling? Exodus 32. And about verse 5. We'll make it 3. Say the people break off the gold earrings which were in their ears and brought them unto Aaron. He received them at their hand and fashioned it with a graving tool. And after he made a molten calf, and they said, These be thy gods, O Yasharah, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it, and Aaron made a proclamation and said, Tomorrow is a feast unto Yahuwah. I ain't never heard him do that before. Now let's see what happens after they done came down there and they done did this. In about verse 15. Say, matter of fact, make it 8. Actually, that's where he started at. 7 where he started at. So we can stay right now. Yahuwah said unto Moses, Get thee down, for thy people, which have you brought out of the land of Egypt, have corrupted themselves. If they corrupted themselves, then that make them unclean. Don't that make them unclean if they done corrupted themselves? Don't you know if Masha told you you clean from the word which he's spoken unto you? Don't you realize a lot of y'all done corrupted yourself? Don't you know a lot of evil desire and passion be reigning in your heart? That's what gets you in trouble. A lot of y'all crave things you ain't got no business crave. It's the same way if you say you supposed to be on a diet and you supposed to eat stuff. I know how you get. You go around here craving bread. All manner of bread. All types of bread. You know what I'm saying? But like we told you the other day, you know, all bread sweet to a whoremonger. They don't care what kind of bread it is. And being a whoremonger ain't got necessarily sitting back talking about going to have sex or nothing. But you know, whoremongers lust after everything. They have an insatiable appetite. They're never satisfied. Mm-hmm. They can never have enough. Oh, I'm just being honest. I ain't trying to clean it up. She already knows she ain't been tooting that thing in there after what she told me this morning.
Got that mopping that broom. Mopping that bucket out.
You gotta get no mama no bucket out. She knows she ain't no whore. You a whore? You sure? We gotta put you on a lie detector test. We gotta take you to more.
Imagine if you tell it all.
Yeah, she said they done told it. She said they done told it. You know what I'm talking about? They done told it. I'm just sitting there saying though, bro. You know, I'm just using the whoremonger as an example because of that line though. That you know, a lot of people lust hard. They lust hard. And your lust don't always gotta be after genitalia. You know what I'm saying? But you got that inordinate affection, an inordinate desire. See, let's look at let me finish this here and we'll look at somebody who had an inordinate desire as well. That the wrath of Elohim rested on them. So you know he's saying, get down, these people done corrupted themselves. He say, behold, and Yahuwah said unto Moses, I've seen this people, behold, it is a stiff-necked people. He said, circumcise the foreskin of your heart, be no more stiff-necked. So if you's a stiff-necked people, that means you're stubborn. Still got that covering on your heart. That eye covered up. You know what I'm talking about? You got to pull the flap back to urinate. He said, now therefore let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, that I may consume them, and I will make of thee a great nation. Moses besought Yahuwah his Elohim and said, Yahuwah, why doth thy wrath wax hot against thy people, which thou hast brought forth out of the land of Mizraim with great power and with a mighty hand. Now we already know what ends up happening. He tell Moses to gird a sword on the side. He tell the Levites to gird a sword on the side. They killed 3,000 people on him. Why? Because of fornication. They committed fornication right then. Worshiping other gods. Laid down with another god and committed spiritual fornication. Let's look at what? 2 Samuel 12. Let's look at somebody who had an inordinate affection. Let's see if the wrath of Elohim fell on him. Second Samuel 13. Verse 1. Somebody had an inordinate desire. This is an irregular desire, so this is his sister. You know what I'm saying? You know something got to be wrong with you. You sitting around here about to burn up in your drawers about your sister. I'm for real though. You in there sitting here telling me, ooh, it's hot in here. She looking good. Yeah, I'm waiting for one of them to bust their neck wide open, jumping off that bed.
Let them do it.
So lives till one of them fall. That'll be the stopper. That's how you learn it. Let one of them break their neck.
Mm-hmm. Mine breaking your neck, I'm breaking your neck.
You gonna break my neck? She said she already know not to jump up off there.
Mm-hmm.
They had already been instructed.
And watch me do it.
Yeah, watching all three. The only one ain't jumping off, a little Mike.
I'm with across those kids. They pull it all through the climate.
13:1. And it came to pass after this that Absalom, the son of David, had a fair sister, whose name was Tamar, and Ammon, the son of David, loved her. And Ammon was so vexed that he fell sick for his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin, and Ammon thought it hard for him to do anything to her. Ammon had a friend whose name was Jonadab, the son of Shemaiah, David's brother, and Jonadab was a very subtle man. And he said unto him, Why art thou, being the king's son, lean from day to day? Wilt thou not tell me? And Ammon said unto him, I love Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister. Jonadab said unto him, Lay thee down on thy bed, and make thyself sick. And when thy father come to see thee, say unto him, I pray thee, let my sister Tamar come and give me meat, and dress the meat of my sight, that I may see it and eat it in her hand. So now he done taught this man to run some little game to get in the bed with her. Y'all know what Ammon ended up doing with his sister, right? You know what he ended up doing? He took something. He ain't just lay with her, he took something. Y'all remember that?
No, I never heard this before.
We done went over this before? Oh, let's go. Mouse say she don't remember this. Oh yeah, he took something. Verse 12, Mouse said, I don't remember. Oh yeah, we went over this. We looked at this as a similitude of my shot. Matter of fact, yeah, Ammon came in there and took something. I'm going to read it for you so you can hear it. Matter of fact, verse 11, so you can really hear it. He said, when she had brought them unto him to eat, he took hold of her and said unto her, Come lie with me, my sister.
Okay, Lord, with me. Yeah.
Come lie with me. And she answered him, Nay, my brother, do not force me, for no such thing ought to be done to Yasharal. Do not defile it. You know you ain't supposed to lay down with your sister. And I, whither shall I cause my shame to go? As for thee, thou shalt be one of the fools in Yasharal. Now therefore I pray thee, speak unto the king, for he will not withhold me from thee. Howbeit, he would not hearken unto her voice, but being stronger than she, forced her and lay with her, took something. Now, this how you know rape ain't good. You got that group around here talking about you can rape a woman, and we gonna sit back and look at what happened to Ammon. Then Ammon hated her exceedingly, so that the hatred wherewith he hated her was greater than the love wherewith he had loved her. And Ammon said unto her, Arise and be gone. And she said unto him, There is no cause. This evil in sending me away is greater than the other that thou did unto me. But he would not hearken unto her. See, that was that inordinate affection that he had, that strong evil desire. You know what I'm saying? He already knew it was wrong for him to lay with his sister. Well, he done sat back and listened to another wicked man gas his head up and tell him, Go ahead, did what you do. Then he took something. Says, then after this she called his servant that ministered unto him, and said, Put now this woman out from me, and bolt the door after her. But it's a real nigga. and then say, get rid of it and lock my door. After she had a garment of diverse colors upon her, for which such robes were the king's daughters that were virgins' apparel, then his servant brought her out and bolted the door after her. And Tamar put ashes on her head and rent her garment of diverse colors that was on her, and laid on her head and went on crying. Just like Amashah had diverse colors on him too, didn't he? Just like he had sackcloth or ashes on his head because he bowed his head down to the earth and wept for what he was about to get ready to experience. Because these people had laid hands on him and forced him. You know what I'm talking about? To take his virginity from him because he had to end up becoming sin, didn't he? Just like we were talking about last night about with Jephthah's daughter bewailing her virginity on the mountain. You know what I'm talking about? Her pureness. They come to try to take his virginity from him. See, the people of Yasharal turned up being Ammon. Why were they Ammon? Because they didn't know the truth. Ammon didn't know the truth. Obviously he couldn't have known it because he wouldn't have tried to do that with his sister. And then after she said, no, man, go to the king. He'll definitely give me to you. He said, man, look here, man, I'm finna take that. Number one, you know how sick you got to be to rape your sister. But then on top of that, you know how sick you got to be to rape anybody? You know what I'm talking about? Like, I'm talking about, I ain't trying to be funny or nothing. But he know this. Like, I wasn't even finna go in the room while Lil Muffin was giving birth. I don't want to see her naked. That's not an image you want in your brain. When my cousin was giving birth, they like, you want to come up here and see? I want to look at my cousin in between her legs while she bust wide open having a baby butt naked. I ain't seen her naked since we were 5. Yeah, that's really what I want to see. Just go ahead and just see her vagina spreading open and the baby jumping out. Yeah, I really want that lasting image in my brain. I'm serious though. You know what I'm saying? When you sit back and think about it, you want to watch Juju give birth. I ain't think so. Brian, your sister got some kids. Would you want to go watch her have them? You know what I'm talking about? Shoot, now I don't even want to see my own woman have them. No, I ain't finna go see my sister have none. You know what I'm talking about? See, it's a little different with women, right? Like, you know, you wouldn't care to go in the room with Miles while she have no baby. You don't care nothing about seeing no titties and vagina. Y'all probably walk around each other butt naked anyhow. But women do that though. You know what I'm saying? Men don't walk around each other like, bruh, nigga be like this here. Nigga be uncomfortable walking around the locker room. These niggas walk around half naked. Some of them niggas walk around the locker room butt naked. Because you catch them on camera because a camera crew got in trouble with some team, NFL team. They were interviewing somebody and dudes was walking past butt booking naked and they got on tape and they ran it. He ain't had no towel on, caught hanging and swinging right in the locker room. Y'all record. Put it on TV. Butt naked man. You know what I'm saying? Man, I ain't cool walking around no whole bunch of butt naked men. And you talking about walking around your sister while she butt naked? Like I say, you know, women could get ready. They could be like this here. Y'all know because y'all done it. Y'all sisters, y'all get ready each other. Y'all do it with your friends. Y'all could be sitting right here, take a bath, walk around each other naked, putting your drawers on, putting all your clothes. Well, you'll never get 2 men do nothing like that. You get in the shower, bro, I'm finna go put my clothes on. Shut the door. He gonna be in there like, yeah, boy, lotioning up while he's standing there. Ready to hit the club tonight, boy. Finna do our thing tonight, bro. You pass me my boxers. You know what I'm saying? Y'all do stuff like that, don't you? You know what I'm saying? You ain't got no problem. You hand me my underwear, girl. I ain't gonna get 2 men do nothing like that. No, what I'm just saying is I seen somebody say something about a man was carrying a purse, carrying his old lady purse. Like she walking behind and he got the purse in his hand. You know what I'm saying? And they like, oh, it ain't no big deal if he do that. But like a man should never carry a woman's purse under any situation or circumstance. Ever. Ever. There's not a logical reason or explanation why a man should ever carry a woman's purse. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, man, my homegirl tried me with that one time. She told me she finna go to the bathroom when I hold her purse. I say, slide it up under my chair. Ain't nobody gonna get it. I said, I guarantee you ain't nobody gonna reach up under this chair and take that purse. I said, if they take that purse from up under this chair, they earned that purse. You know what I'm saying? Last thing I'm ever gonna do is sit there with this woman's purse in my lap. But the reason why I mention this is because we live in a society which has emasculated men. black men in particular. So I was just talking about this, right? You sit back and you realize that people have been stripped of everything. Your name, your language, your culture, your heritage, and your God. I mean, we can turn around and we can fashion you any way that we want to fashion you. And when we fashion you in this instance, you know what ends up happening? You lose dignity, you lose honor, you lose respect because you don't know yourself. You know what I'm saying? Our men ain't never been those type of men. You know what I'm saying? You talking about walking around holding purses? Dressing like faggots? Doing feminine type stuff? That ain't never been the Hebrew way. That ain't never been how we roll. You know what I'm saying? You get to the point now, look how they got us, like this is what we've been discussing. Look how they got us to the point of where we so dependent on them for employment that it don't even rarely ever even cross our mind to, I'll just make my own. You know what I'm saying? We don't never think about cutting out the middleman, keeping up. Mr. Charlie always got to get a piece. This is how this one happen when your dignity and your honor and as a people have been removed and destroyed. The only way you can rebuild that back is through coming back to your God. Then coming back to your God and learning of him and knowing him. Therefore, the spirit of truth can manifest to where that won't happen to you. See, when you know who you are, you know what ends up that. When you look at a lot of these other people, if you look at so-called Jewish people, they think they know who they are. You see, they carry themselves in a particular way. When you look at, I ain't gonna say all African, because some of them come over here smell like, woo. Ain't nowhere in the world you got no dignity smelling like that. But when you look at Japanese people, you know what I'm saying? You look at Chinese people, they carry themselves with a certain air and dignity because they never lost who they were over time. So because they have a fall back to their roots, a fall back to their ways, they carry themselves in a particular way. That's why when they see their kids engaged in certain particular behaviors, they be so angry with them. You know what I'm saying? I done said this here to some of y'all before, you know, they get mad about their kids becoming westernized or Americanized. They don't ever want their kids to take on this culture. Arab people are like that too. You know what I'm saying? They want their kids to hold fast to their culture because it's a respect and dignity that go along with it. When you look at, when they come over here and you look at how America wants you to assimilate and integrate, so quote unquote, the great melting pot, you end up losing who you are in the process. And when you lose who you are in the process, then you begin to emulate the oppressor or the lead people of the place where you're at. You know what I'm saying? That's what ends up happening with our people. See, it's bigger than just dress. It's a mind frame. Like I seen a dude, man, you know, the beat was alright, but he had a song called a Miter Down with My Fringes On. That's what the song was about, man. You know, y'all know what a mitre is? You know what that is? You know what that is? What? That's like a little head wrap that men wear. You done seen plenty of Hebrew dudes wear. You know that stuff they like tie that stuff around their head. You know what I'm talking about? That's a mitre. It's like a head wrap. You know what I'm saying? Not like the dot like you see, but you see Arab people wear it all the time. A lot of it's just like a little covering on it. It's basically almost, it's similar to what y'all wear, but just a little bit different. And usually just all white. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, turban.
Yeah, but they actually called it mitre. Like a matter of fact, the dude said on the song, he said, "No, I don't drive cabs." So obviously, nigga thought he had a turban on. He had to correct him, tell him I have a mitre on. You know what I'm saying? And but even to sit back and okay, that nigga a little crazy, but that's how your ancestors dressed though. You know what I'm saying? Now obviously we know that they prayed and prophesied without that mitre on their head, but the priests wore mitres on their head. You know what I'm saying? Even though we know that we don't need to wear fringes, your forefathers dressed that way. They wore them Hebrew garments as you see them dudes have on. You know what I'm saying? What we looking at is not just trying to be Hebrew on the outside, but be it on the inside. You know what I'm saying? When you Hebrew on the inside, then you're going to manifest that faith and love and that breastplate of judgment resting in your heart. Let's finish this here because Mouse like this here. She said, I ain't know that happening here. Let's look at about verse 22. We look at verse 20. You can sit back and hear what they wanted to do to him. And Absalom her brother said unto her, Have Amnon thy brothers been with thee? Behold now thy peace, my sister. He is thy brother, regard not this thing. So Tamar remained desolate in her brother Absalom's house. But when King David heard of all these things, he was very wroth. Absalom spake unto his brother Amnon, neither good nor bad. For Absalom hated Amnon, because he had forced his sister Tamar. And you know what Absalom ended up doing when he caught up with Amnon? Killed him. He killed him. Let's look at verse 29. You can see that. We'll make it 28. Now Absalom had commanded his servants, saying, Mark ye now, Amnon's heart is merry with wine. And when I say unto you, smite Amnon, then kill him, fear not. Have I not commanded you? Be courageous and be valiant. And the servants of Absalom did unto Amnon as Absalom had commanded. Then all the king's son arose, and every man got him upon his mule and fled. Then it came to pass while they were in the way that the tidings came to David, saying, Absalom hath slain all the king's sons, and there is none one of them left. Then the king arose and tore his garment and lay on the earth, and all his servants stood by with their clothes rent. Jonadab, the son of Shemaiah, David's brother, answered and said, Let not my master suppose that ye have slain all the young men, the king's son, for Amnon only is dead. For by the appointment of Absalom hath this been determined from the day that he forced his sister Tamar. So because of his inordinate desire, or his inordinate affection, his evil desire, I cost him his life. Remember, he say this wrath fall on the children of disobedience. See, he disobeyed. That's why he died. Come on back to Colossians chapter 3. Make sure we don't miss another example. Then he say covetousness, which is idolatry. You know, even with King David, when he coveted Bathsheba knowing she was married, the wrath of Elohim fell on him, didn't it? Swore to always be in your house. I'm going to take all your wives. You know what I'm saying? That wrath will come on you. So when you see these examples of the wrath of Yah coming on your head when you be a partaker of the children of disobedience, this is what happened, this is what's going to occur. You have to stay away from that. Let's come back to Ruth chapter 2. You say, Mike, you ain't know nothing about that, huh, Mike? He said, it's take something season. That was rough right there, ain't it? Take something. He said, she gonna give me some of this here. And just like a nigga, once he got what he wanted, through with you. I hope ain't none of y'all ever got like that. Be horrible. They can jump up and down in you and say, be gone. Say, I don't know how you gonna get home, but you got to get up out of here. Boy, I'm talking about, boy, I know girls been put out on the highway because they like this here they wasn't gonna put out. When Cub pulled over like this here, like he finna put them out, they changed their mind. The dudes used to play the game dirty. They been done took them girls way out somewhere, way far away from where they stay at. And y'all know how big this city is. You take a girl, she stay out there on the beach or on the south side, and you take her way out 103rd somewhere.
Talking about from the clinic.
Talking about if you don't put out, you walking home. Boy, somebody be like this here.
That's something. My mom like that always said, whenever we went out with friends on a date, family, they always
You know what I'm talking about? They like this here. They say you have all the cab money you want. I'm still finna put your bottom.
I get out cool.
Finish spinning.
So
You
that's
ain't
what
got
it's
enough.
for.
You ain't got enough to get from a clinic to use it. You ain't got that much money.
Hey!
About a $200 cash.
They say you ain't got enough money to get from the cleaner to you, huh?
What?
You been took them out to the Middleburg.
What?
You stay way out there on Bay Meadow. Well, how you finna get home?
Take you out the White House. You stay on Bush Drive.
Woo! But dude play the game raw,
That
man.
nigga nasty.
I ain't never did nothing like that, boy. I done heard stories though,
Yeah,
from men and women.
it's funny.
I done had a woman told me.
Funny.
I had a woman tell me like this here. Boy, they put me out right on Bay Meadow Road. I stay way on Kearney.
He's a walk be something, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But you know, like they say, you know, somebody gonna, if they ain't bad looking, somebody gonna want to scoop them up. Then you face danger. You might get raped out here on these streets.
Let me tell you. You better call your daddy with all that shame. Daddy, what you going out there?
And you know what? We talking about a time period for it with cell phones. So you just can't whip out your iPhone talking about call somebody up for no ride.
You gotta go in the store.
You got to go to the store, try to find your old payphone.
Ask the store man, can you use the phone with the tail in your face?
They put me out on the side of the road. Why they put you out on the side of the road? Cause I wasn't gonna be old today. I said I was gonna be old yesterday, but not today. That's how it happened. But come on back here to Ruth chapter 2. This woman fell in verse 10, right? The woman said, why have I found grace in thy eyes that thou should take knowledge of me? Now, when we sit back and we come over here, I think I want Ephesians. I might want Ephesians. Y'all going hard in here. They around here bucking each other, huh? Let's see what it might be Galatians down here. That's 2 Timothy. Or 1 Timothy, chapter 3. And about verse 15. We'll work it around in a minute. It says, but if I tarry long, that thou may know how thou ought to behave thyself in the house of Elohim, which is the synagogue of the living Elohim, the pillar and ground of the truth. And without controversy, great is the mystery of godliness. Elohim was manifest in the flesh, justified in the spirit, seen of Malachim, preached unto the Gentile, believed on in the world, and received up into esteem. Now this woman asked, why have you taken knowledge of me, seeing that I'm a stranger? Now he said Elohim was manifested in the flesh. You know what I'm saying? It seems strange to these people when a Mashiach is telling them people, I and my Father are one. Me and my Father work. My Father work and I work here too. Because they know him being a man maketh himself Elohim. Therefore, they wanted to do something to him. Though even at that time, he was still a man. He hadn't actually became Elohim. He didn't become the son of Elohim till he rose from the dead. And he was declared to be that with power. But now we turn around and look, and it says that Elohim was manifested in the flesh. And he said, well, why do you take knowledge of me, seeing that I am a stranger? Why would the father take knowledge of her? Why is Boaz taking knowledge of Ruth, seeing she's a stranger? Look at this verse 16 of chapter 1 of this same epistle. Make it 15. This is a faithful saying and worthy of all exception, that Yahushua HaMashiach came into the world to save sinners, of whom I am chief. Howbeit, for this cause I obtained mercy, that in me first Yahushua HaMashiach might show forth all long suffering, for a pattern to them which should hereafter believe on him to life everlasting. When you turn around, we look at Paul, right? Paul was contrary to the word at that time. Contrary to a Mashiach, as we read the other day, he asked him, why did you persecute me, right? And then he ended up showing that pattern of long suffering and redeeming him. Now we sit back and we look at Ruth. She's got a pattern of suffering going on. You know what I'm talking about? And now she's sitting back and she's around here gleaning in Boaz's threshing floor. And she asks, why have you taken knowledge of me? Why have I found grace in thy eyesight? Why do you think a Mashiach found grace in the Father's sight then? Come on around here to 2 Corinthians. About verse 4. He said, but in all things approving ourselves as ministers of Elohim in much patience and afflictions and necessities and distresses. You know what I'm saying? In stripes and imprisonments and toilments and labors and watchings and fastings. By pureness, by knowledge, by long suffering, by kindness, by the Ruach HaKodesh, by love and fame, by the word of truth, by the power of Elohim, by the armor of righteousness on the right hand and on the left. By honor and dishonor, by evil report and good report, as deceivers and yet true. As unknown yet well known. As dying, behold, we live, as chastened and not killed. As sorrowful, yet always rejoicing, as poor, yet making many rich, as having nothing, yet possessing all things. Well, we turn around and look at it. She asks, why have you taken knowledge of me, seeing that I am a stranger? When we sit back and look at Mashiach, let's look at all these things: stripes and imprisonments and torments and labors and watchings and fastings and pureness and by knowledge. And let's sit back, if Mashiach did these things, to see why she would take knowledge of him. Because that's what she asked. Why are you taking knowledge of me? Why do you know who I am? Why do you care about me? Let's look at the first thing about and labors in John chapter 5 and about verse 16. Hey there, little buddy. You in trouble, Kingston? Yeah. What did you do, Kingston? Get that out your mouth. And therefore did the Yahudim persecute and sought to slay him, because he had done these things on the Shabbat day. But Yahusha answered them, my Father worked hitherto, and I work. Therefore the Yahudim sought the more to kill him, because he had not only broken the Shabbat, but also had said that Elohim was his father, making himself equal with Elohim. Then answered Yahusha and said unto them, truly, truly, I say unto you, the Son could do nothing of himself but what he see the Father do. For what things soever he do, these also do the Son likewise. So what does he let them know? He's laboring. He said, he said, my meat is to do the will of him that sent me. His whole labor and his whole work was to do what? What was his whole work to do? What was Mashiach's whole work to do? What was his labor? To be the atonement for our sins, but also for the fulfilling of the book. He say, I must work while the sun is still out. He say, the night cometh where no man can work. That's what he said, right? You know what I'm saying? He was diligent in his labor. Therefore, he was able to stand before a king, being his father. So we have to turn around and look at it and follow that same pattern, that he would be able to take knowledge of us. He said he honored, he said, and Malachi, he mentioned that he hearkened unto them who thought upon his name and who feared him. And he said, they shall be mine, and I will honor them as a father honor his son who served him. See, when you turn around and you look at Ruth in there gleaning in that flesh before, what was she doing? She was laboring. She was serving him. Therefore, he would be able to take knowledge of her. Now, he sit back and say, why have I found grace in thy sight, seeing that I am a stranger? So how did the Mashiach ended up becoming a stranger to his father? How did he end up doing that? When he became sin, he became strange to him. He became strange to him. But how did he end up finding grace or undeserved favor in his sight? Because this is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased. Hear ye him. See, because he was willing to do the labors. Now, you know what a totement is, right? That's a little truck. You know what I'm saying? You know, he served them with fastings, right? Can't we turn around and look at Matthew chapter 4 and see he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights? You know they beat him. All these things he served them with, all these sufferings that Mashiach took, this is what allowed the Father to be able to take knowledge of him. He was able to find grace in his sight. That's why he say Elohim was manifested in the flesh and justified in the Ruach, justified in the Spirit. He was justified because of the offerings of righteousness that we mentioned last night. Because he stand in awe and he sinned not. You know, a lot of times we don't sit back and look at it and stand amazed. You know what I'm saying? See, a lot of times you don't sit back and sometimes y'all be amazed when you see the works of the Most High in the Shamayim. You know what I'm saying? See a nice sunset or a nice color in the sky. Remember Fat Boy talking about how the sky was red, blood red out there? Like, I seen it. I took the picture of it too. Like, it was not a regular, like the sun had already went down. You know what I'm saying? But the sky was like an orangish red. You know what I'm saying? Like all over. And you take notice of these things and you be amazed. But in actuality, you don't actually be amazed at when you sit back and consider what this man can do to you. Whether it be positive or whether it be negative. That don't seem to amaze you. You know what I'm saying? That's why you get caught up and you haven't mortified your members and not realizing that this stuff come on the wrath, that his wrath come on the children of disobedience, the people who perform these things. If you want to be able for this man to find Ephesians chapter 2 and about verse 5. If you want this man to be able to take knowledge of you, you've got to be able to serve him. You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to be a peculiar treasure above all people upon the face of the earth. We ought to be strange to these people. You know what I'm saying? Ephesians 2 and 4. But Elohim, who is rich in mercy for his great love wherewith he loved us, even when we were dead in sins, have quickened us together with the Mashiach. By grace ye are saved. Don't you realize that this woman pretty much had no husband, so what she was in for all the time? She wasn't in sin, but she was dead. She had no husband. Now she come across Boaz, and now the mercy of Yah is being shown to her because she about to get her a husband. See, come on back to Ruth chapter 2. You know, everybody, I know, I always hear people talking about, I'm waiting on my Boaz. You know what I'm talking about? And all that stuff, these people say all these little church cliches. You done said it too, ain't it, man?
No, I have not, but I done heard it several times.
You done said it, man.
No, I have not.
I'm waiting on my Boaz. Huh? I mean, I'm fleet. Fleet of foot. Fleetfulness. That's what it means.
When they look like
Mm-hmm. 2 and 11. And Boaz answered and said, it has fully been showed me all that thou hast done unto my mother-in-law since the death of thy husband, and how thou hast left thy father and thy mother in the land of thy nativity, unto a people which thou knew not heretofore. Yahuwah recompense thy work, a full reward be given of thee of Yahuwah Elohim, of Yasharal, whose wings thou art come to trust. You say already told her, it's been showed me. It's been showed me. Well, we know in diverse times and in sundry matters, Elohim has spoken to us by the prophets. But now in these last days, he's spoken to us by his son. Because these things were ordained from the beginning. It has been showed. It had already been, you heard what he said? It's been showed me what you gonna do. See, look, as a matter of fact, John chapter 14, about verse 31. Then get your Isaiah 46. Iggy. Make it 29 actually. He say, now I have told you before it come to pass, that when it is come to pass, you might believe. Hereafter I will not talk much with you, for the prince of this world come and have nothing in me. But that the world may know that I love the Father, and as the Father gave me commandment, even so I do. Arise, let us go hence. You see what he told you? He said, I tell you before it happens. Now, how's the only way he can tell it before it happens? Because his Father told him, because he knows the word. He knows the difference between truth and error. Matter of fact, let's look at what Pilate asked him. In 18 and 37 of the book of John. Still something that Pilate asked him. It says, Pilate therefore said unto him, art thou a king then? Yahusha answered, thou say that I am a king. To this end was I born, and for this cause I came into the world, that I should bear witness unto the truth. Everyone that is of the truth, hear my voice. Pilate saith unto him, what is truth? And when he had said this, he went out again unto the Yahudim, and saith unto him, I find in him no fault at all. He said, well, what is truth? He said, I don't see no fault in it. Those that know the truth will hear his voice. They'll be able to know the difference between falsehood and error. Don't you notice that when he said those that are of the truth hear my voice, and what's the first thing Pilate said? I don't see nothing wrong with it, which means he didn't see any error or any fault in it. He couldn't find it. You know what I'm talking about? Now, of course, we know Pilate was of the world. But when you look at people who are the world, when we sit back and you look at our ancestors, only 7,000 men who hadn't bowed the knee to Baal. Or the men we read about in Ezekiel who were worshiping idols in the sanctuary. Had their backs towards the temple, worshiping the sun, weeping for Tammuz. All these things, not knowing the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. You know why we've been talking about recently? Somebody telling you not to keep the law, that's the spirit of error. That's not the spirit of truth. The spirit of truth wouldn't tell you that. You think he'd tell you that? How we know that? Cause we sit back and we look at when he had that vision with Peter about them animals. Peter said, "Man, look here, man. I ain't never done nothing like that." Peter knew the difference between the spirit of truth and spirit of error. He know the spirit of truth ain't telling him to eat no pork back, no shrimp, no lobster, no crabs, no camel, no rabbit, no raccoon. He knows this because he knows the difference between the two. I would tell, brother was telling me like, boom, the dudes would go like, he was like, yeah, man, the women still be wearing pants in their congregation. They coming at me warrior garments and all this, that, there, and the third. You know what I'm saying? And the women being the other women ears, you know what I'm saying? Letting them know like it ain't no big deal. Or they be like, if they got them on, I'm just in the house. As long as I'm in the house, I'm straight. You know what I'm saying? So you got people, they don't know the difference between the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. You know how detrimental that is for those who listening? You know what I'm saying? You'll sit back and look at, let's get an example. Like we were talking about this at High T say when she first heard multiple wives, I wasn't going for that. Didn't necessarily, you ain't know nothing about nothing. It was more than your old, I ain't finna share. You do all this here. Yeah, you just ain't want to share. I ain't lying though, is it? Am I lying though? Now you ain't got no response. Am I lying though? I ain't lying, is it? Hey man, ain't no shame in that. You say you don't want to share, you don't want to share. I done had several women tell me that's why they ain't want to go for it, because they wasn't sharing. You know what I'm saying? But some women sit back and they don't be able to ascertain between the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. Like I told you with whatever that girl name was. I can't remember her name, but you know what I'm talking about. Tried to tell her boy that thing that didn't fly. She didn't know the difference and went and got herself in a bad situation. Bad situation. Because she couldn't ascertain between the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. She hearing one person say, you can get this, that you can be my fourth wife. You got somebody else showing you, you don't need to do that. And you couldn't discern between the two. And because you couldn't discern between the two, you had a horrible life experience because of it. You know what I'm talking about? To the point that she no longer deal with the word. To the point that she came out worse than what she was before. She was doing stuff that she didn't even do before the word. Like straight up, because you know when you can see somebody when they first jump in it and you see the stuff that they was on before they did it. And boy, after she got up out that situation, but she ain't never dressed like no whore before she started dealing with the word, got up out of it and dressed way worse than I ever seen her dress. I'm talking about when she was in the world, she got pictures of herself, she didn't dress like that. You know, if you dress like a slut, well, you're going to have plenty of photographs of you doing that. Just don't pop up out of nowhere. That girl ain't never do that. You know what I'm talking about? She came back out that situation now. Tooting and booting it, dressing like a slut. Shabbat what? Say what? All this here done. Because she couldn't discern between the two. And because she couldn't discern between the two, she got herself in a situation where it actually turned her against y'all. Well, actually, an individual person turned her against y'all. Because he said he was representative of him. And his behavior made her feel like, if this your God, I don't want to serve him. You know what I'm saying? And that's horrible. You know what I'm saying? Isaiah 46. Mm. 46 and 10. Declaring the end from the beginning and from the ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, I will do all my pleasure. Remember Proverbs chapter 8 said he was with him from the beginning as one brought up with him. So obviously it's the spirit of, because he says that Kadesh men of Elohim spoke as they were moved by the Ruach HaKodesh. And as we read last night, the spirit of a Mashiach that's in them testified of the sufferings that should follow. So it had already been made, manifested. Y'all, what was going to happen to his son, he already knew. I laid the plan out. I declared the beginning from the ending. So therefore I can be able to have grace on you because I've already taken knowledge of you. You were slain from the foundation of the world. Therefore I know you. That's where anybody who's learned of the Father, they're going to come to the Son. I was looking at something, man. You know, these dudes just disrespected the Mashiach so hard. You know what I'm saying? Oh, the idol. He's this, he's that. Oh, I can find 100 contradictions. Like I told you. Well, I don't even think Ron believe in the word no more. Think he on some old God and goddess type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Don't even believe in the word no more. Like think it's a fairy tale. Think it ain't real. You know what I'm saying? But that's what happened when you deal with you. Once something been identified that there's something that you can't do that you want to do, right? You know what I'm saying? And then you seek to go do that there. Then you gonna talk to other people and they gonna put other stuff. I'm telling you, it usually ends up worse for you when you quit and leave it alone than what it was for you even started. Cause now you like this here. It's 100 different contradictions in here. This ain't the only truth. It's a part of the truth. This type of stuff like that. That's ugly. That's ugly. But this man said he declared the end from the beginning, so they feel like they can take shots at a Mashiach at their leisure. You know what I'm saying? Now I ain't seen him do that. You know what I'm talking about? But some of the people he roll with, they do it. They do it. Now he said, I took knowledge of you. He said, you left your nativity of God. We already read in Ephesians 5, you left your father and mother's house. We know full well from the 19th chapter of John, he left his mama, right? We already know he left his father's house when he came down from Shamayim to come down here to us. For all intents and purposes, even though he knew us beforehand, he was a stranger to us. You know what I'm saying? He was a stranger. And when he became sin to his father, he became a stranger to him because now I can no longer know you. I can no longer deal with you. Now we turn around and look at, that's what makes us strange. When we have sin on us because we ain't removed that foreskin of our heart. Now we strange to y'all. He can't take knowledge of us that we might find grace in his sight. See, matter of fact, since I said that, he said, even though I'm a stranger, you done left your father's house. Luke 14 and 26. Matter of fact, make it Matthew 19 to 25. We'll get to Luke 14 in a moment. For 27, no, matter better served. Then Peter answered and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? Yahushua said unto them, Truly I say unto you, that they which ye have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit on the throne of his glory, ye shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Yasharal. Everyone that hath forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or mother, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold, and shall inherit everlasting life. And you turn around and look at Ruth, didn't she forsake everything that she knew? She said, your God be my God, your people my people. She forsook everything that she knew, and she followed Naomi. She followed my delight. Wherever you go, I go. Take up your affliction and follow me. He said, wherever I am, he who ever serves me will be also, and my Father will honor him. Well, you turn around and you see wherever Naomi went, Ruth went, and Boaz ended up honoring her. And matter of fact, he ended up making her his wife. And we already know, right? See, now let's look at something in Philippians 3 and 8 that's just come across my mind. See, this is the mind that Ruth had. This is the mind you got to have if you're going to have your heart circumcised. That's why those who know the Father, they sit back and they look at Ruth and they see what's been testified aforetime. She counted everything but dung. She was willing to leave everything behind. The same way a Mashiach was willing to leave everything behind. And we have to be willing to do the same. You know, everybody talk about this here, man. But when there's sacrifices going to have to be made, as we talked about last night, making that peace offering, you're going to have to lose something. And you notice the thing that he said to take out, the liver and the heart. You know what I'm saying? He say take that and burn that in fire, right? He say the fat is the best part. You have to take your heart and sacrifice it to Yah. Give that to him. He say love me with the whole heart, the whole mind, the whole strength, and the whole soul. Give that man your heart. Sacrifice that to him. He said that's the best part. That's what he said, right? The fat was the best part. That's the part I've chosen. Because from the beginning, I just wanted your mind. I wanted your heart. Circumcise it. Don't be no more stiff-necked. We don't want to do that, though. That's the commandment that he gave, which is a part of the greatest commandment, to love Yahuwah Yah Elohim with all thy heart and with all thy strength and with all thy soul and with all thy might. That means give him your mind. He said these laws shall rest in your heart. That's what in numerous of places this man tell you about lay up his words in your heart and remember to do them. Which is the whole thing of what we were looking at when he said I have to break beauty and the covenant that I made with him. Because when I break beauty, it allows me to make a greater and better covenant that can save me. Philippians 3:8 says, yea, doubtless, make it 7. But what things were gained to me, those I counted lost for Hamashiach. Yea, doubtless, I count all things but lost for the excellency of the knowledge of Yahushua HaMashiach, my master, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things, and do count them but dung, that I might win a Mashiach. This the mind Ruth had. Everything that she had, she counted it for loss, didn't she? She left everything behind. She said, where you die, I die. Where you go, I go. Everything I had before that, I lose that I might win you, that I might win my delight. That's what Naomi name means. It means my delight. And beauty is something that is pleasant or delightful, right? And a Mashiach was the beauty of Kadesh. It was beautiful, it was delightful, but we didn't esteem it to be beautiful at the time. It's the same way we don't esteem righteousness and set apart living to be beautiful now, because it seemed to interfere with the things that we want to do. He's saying, be found in him, not having my own righteousness, which is of the law, but that which is through faith in Hamashiach, the faith of Hamashiach, the righteousness which is of Elohim by faith. This is what Ruth manifested. You know what I'm saying? Remember what Naomi asked her? She said, if I was able to have a baby now, would you wait till he was grown? She said, oh, that don't matter. I'm going where you going. That's the faith that she had. Not any righteousness that she had aforetime, but that she could be justified by the faith that she had. And she ended up being justified by that too, didn't she? Because she left her father and mother's house too, didn't she? Came around here to strangers. Come on back to Ruth chapter 2. Yeah, Mouse. I seen that other day, boy. That nigga up gone. Gone. I said, boy, it look like he won't believe in this no more. You know what I'm saying? That's how it happened to you. You know what I'm saying? I can remember him sitting in that very room talking about what he wanted to do and what he wasn't going to do. All that went straight down the toilet, didn't it, Jim Dan? Mm-hmm. Can't get him no Jana. Said he wants some Jana. Say he got him a new woman now too. Call it quits. Cause he wanted some of that funky monkey.
Monkey.
You know what I'm talking about? He said he wanted some of that funky monkey. He said they told him he couldn't get none of that funky monkey. He said, boy, I want nothing to do with it right here, boy. Well, I mean, that's how he came. He know that I was with him when he came around there anyway. That's the only reason why he came around. So that lets you know he probably wasn't all in on that anyway, because he wasn't doing nothing but coming for tea. You know what I'm talking about? That's probably why he wanted to come. Let me see if she liked the nigga for real. She said he asked her that. See, yeah, she said he asked her that. Cause that's the only thing reason why he came. We already know this here. He wasn't coming because he wanted to hear no word. He was like this here. I want some of that big old head over there. She got a big old head.
Ew, shut up.
She got a big old head. He said, look at that dome. He said, look at that cranium. Look at that skull. You know what I'm talking about? He seen this here. He said, okay, I'll roll. You know what I'm saying? But when he came, that's probably why he wanted the condo. I mean, he could pretty much told you that he wanted to see for himself. And after a while, he abided for a little while. And you know how long that lasted? 2 months. 2 months. That nigga said, boy, I can't get no Jana. I want some Jana. I said, I'm tired of this here, man. I beat my meat too long. You know what I'm talking about? Shoot, I'm weak around here. I want to be weak with a real woman. He around here pulling the Bud Bundy with the blow-up dog. See, he say the lifelike features atomically correct. Like they said, no, I'm just clown, but you don't shoot, boy. That young boy probably was a freak. He hung with a freak, so I know he probably won too. Your homeboy, Ace is a stone cold freak. You know what I'm talking about? So you know they like to get freaky together. You talking about I can't get no Jana? Your response is, I tried. You ain't try hard enough. You ain't try hard enough. Now he say you make sure you get a full reward. Let's go to Revelation chapter 3 about that full reward. And 2 Timothy chapter 4 after that. You got to make sure you get your full reward. I'm going to wrap it up. Make it about 3 and 3. Remember therefore how thou hast received and heard, and held fast and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come on thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. Thou hast a few names, even in Sardis, which have not defiled their garments. They shall walk with me in white, for they are worthy. He that overcomes, the same shall be clothed in white raiment. I will not blot his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his Malachim. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Ruach saith unto the synagogue. And to the Malachim of the synagogue in Philadelphia write, these things saith he that is Kadesh, he that is true, he that saith hath the key of David, he that opened and no man shut, and no man open. I know thy works, behold, I've set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it. For thou hast a little strength, and hast kept my word, and hast not denied my name. And then we know in verse 11, he tell you, hold fast that which you have, that no man take your crown. Make sure that you come up with a full reward, that Yah will be able to recompense you for your work, that your labor be not in vain. Don't let your labor be for nothing. Make sure you get a full reward. 2 Timothy chapter 4 though. Ooh, right. And then we come back to Zechariah chapter 11. We always crying about something. Verse 6. Say, for I am ready to be offered, and the time of my departure is at hand. I have fought a good fight, I have finished my course, I have kept the faith. Henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which Mashiach, the righteous judge, shall give me at this day. And not to me only, but to all them that love his appearing. Don't you realize, Naomi tells Ruth to go lay down next to Boaz, right? Cover herself up. And then when he began to appear himself, she had joy when she seen him. And then he made it be known that if the man who had the redemption order before him couldn't do it, he was gladly going to take her because of the faith which she exercised. And she was able to get a full reward because what Naomi told her to do, she wouldn't have done it right. You know what I'm saying? Well, you got to look at what a Mashiach tells you to do, you ought to go do it so that you might receive a full reward. See, he said, I've taken knowledge of you. That's what he said. He said, I've taken knowledge of you, right? Look at Ephesians chapter 1. We talk about verse 5, talking about taking knowledge of it. 1 and 3. Little stanky, you ain't sleep. Blessed be Elohim and Father of our Master Yahushua HaMashiach, who have blessed us with all spiritual blessings in the Shamahim and the Mashiach, according as he have chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be Kadesh and without blame before him in love, having predestinated us unto the adoption of children by Yahushua HaMashiach to himself, according to the good pleasure of his will. Do you not see that Ruth, being a stranger, ended up being adopted? She ended up being brought in too, didn't it? Which means that goes back to Romans chapter 11 about the Gentile being grafted in. Same thing. She didn't bear the root bare her. Zechariah chapter 11. Read 10 again. I took my staff, 11 and 10, and beauty and cut it asunder, that I might break the covenant which I made with all the people. Now you notice the cut it asunder. Something's come to my mind. Isaiah chapter 28. He said, I had to cut beauty asunder to break the covenant that I made with the people. 28 and 17. Make it 16. Therefore, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, behold, I lay in Zion for a foundation, a stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. He that believe shall not make haste. Judgment also will I lay to the line, and righteousness to the plummet. Hell shall sweep away the refuge of lies, and waters the overflow the hiding place. And your covenant with death shall be disannulled, and your agreement with hell shall not stand. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, then you shall be trodden down by it. When did y'all make a covenant with death with the people? When did y'all make a covenant of death with the people? Y'all don't know when he made a covenant of death with the people? When Adam ate that fruit, that's when he made a covenant of death with the people. So when he take beauty and he cuts him asunder, he has to break that covenant that he made with the people. Therefore, you can be able to be redeemed to have life. That's the whole sitting back when we looking at circumcision. That circumcision is what? According to Genesis 17, what do you say circumcision is? We read it yesterday, as a matter of fact. Well, I didn't read verse 2. I might have read it last night. What is circumcision is? You know what circumcision is? According to Genesis 17. It's the sign of the covenant in your flesh. You know what I'm saying? So when you turn around and you look at being circumcised in the heart, that's why we read Jeremiah chapter 11. Cursed be him that obeyed not this covenant. You know what I'm talking about? Because your heart being circumcised is a signal of the covenant in your flesh. See Romans chapter 8 and verse 1. There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Yahushua HaMashiach, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. For the law of the Spirit of life in Yahushua HaMashiach have made us free from the law of sin and death. For what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, Elohim sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin, condemned sin in the flesh. So Mashiach came in the flesh to show you that sin is wrong. That the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. So him breaking beauty asunder was for him to be able to break that covenant that he made with the people. Now death can be disannulled. Now we can have the righteousness of faith, which is in a Mashiach, to eternal life and dwell with him forever. You know what I'm saying? Because he say favor means delight. I took delight and I broke it. Come on back to Zechariah 11. Oh, he was crying like that on his own, or Lee hit it. Yeah, struck him back there. Now y'all know what that part when he talking about if you think good, give me my price and all that stuff right there, right? But look at verse 14. Well, he say, then I cut asunder my other staff, even bands, that I might break the brotherhood between Yehuda and Yasharai. So what do you think this mean when he took his other staff and he took bands to break the brotherhood? Meaning the union. You know, when they took a Mashiach, you know, Yasharai was against him. He said, I took my other staff. You know what a staff is, right? You know what I'm talking about? And usually that's something to sit back and to show forth authority. You know what I'm talking about? Usually them rods and them staffs, usually somebody authority or some type of wisdom usually has them. You know, his brothers be selling staffs out here on these streets with Hebrew words written all on them and all. You know what I'm talking about? But when he's talking about is he breaking the Mashiach asunder. He's breaking the union He's breaking all these things so it can be made twain and be one. That there would be no more separation. See, Ephesians 4:1. What? Huh? Oh, he been eating the apple for the last 20 minutes. He said he gonna savor that though. Say it taste good to him. 4 and 3. Endeavoring to keep the unity of the Ruach and the bond of peace. There is one body and one Ruach, even as you are called, and one hope of your calling. One master, one faith, one baptism, one Elohim, and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in you all. See, when he sat back and he said, I had to take the union and I had to break it. You know what I'm talking about? To separate the brotherhood of Yehuda and Yasharal, because Yasharal and Yehuda had been separated. That brotherhood had been broken. Matter of fact, he said they broken the brotherly covenant. That's how I sit back and I think about the brotherly covenant. Let's look in the book of Obadiah. I'm thinking about the brotherly covenant. If it ain't Obadiah, it's Joel. I believe it's Joel. That just came to my head. When you sit back and you think about they broke the brotherly covenant, we just read about that the other day. Do y'all know what place we read about somebody who broke a covenant with their brethren? And sit back, think about I broke the bond, broke the bands, or the other staff, or bands, or union. He said to break the brotherhood between Yasharal and Yehuda. Alrighty then. Y'all know what that could be referring to? If you make a brotherly covenant, who made a brotherly covenant that you know of off the top of your head? What two men did that? Who knows what two men did that? You know who made a covenant together? Huh? What about it's Amos chapter 1 verse 9 that I desired. What about Jonathan and David? Then they make a brotherly covenant. Well, Esau and Jacob didn't make no covenant.
He agreed. That's the covenant.
Yeah, see, but he didn't break that brotherly covenant though.
He tried.
He didn't try. Esau just a buster. Esau ain't even really try to do it. He didn't even know what was going on.
You didn't say you break it. You said made one.
Well, I say broke the brotherly covenant.
No, not even.
1 and 9.
What?
It says, thus saith Yahuwah, for 3 transgressions of Tyrus and for 4. I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they delivered up the whole captivity to Edom, and remembered not the brotherly covenant. But I will send a fire on the wall of Tyrus, which shall devour the palaces thereof. Thus saith Yahuwah, for 3 transgressions of Edom and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. But I will send a fire upon Timon, which shall devour the palaces of Basra. Thus saith Yahuwah, for 3 transgressions of the children of Ammon and for 4. I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they have ripped up the women with child at Gilead, that they might enlarge their borders. But I will kindle a fire in the wall of Rabbah, and it shall devour the palaces thereof, with shouting in the day of battle, and with tempest in the day of the whirlwind. And their king shall go into captivity, he and his princes together, saith Yahuwah. Now, he said they delivered up the whole captivity to Edom and remembered not the brotherly covenant. Say when the Edom got it, they pursued his brother with the sword, had no pity, and they kept that wrath. What do you think that could be referring to? Because remember, he said he broke the union, he broke the other staff called bands of the union to break the brotherhood between Yasharal and Yehuda. What y'all think that could be referred to? What they did with Amashiach. They chased him with the sword, didn't they? Didn't they forget the brotherly cup? Boy, our law say, boy, you ain't supposed to be delivered. What did they sit back and say? It's against our law to kill any man, didn't they? In the 18th chapter of John, that's what they said. It's not lawful for us to kill a man, didn't they? They broke the brotherly covenant. They said, don't have no grudge against your brother. They were all pricked in their heart every time he spoke. You know what I'm talking about? Excuse me. So they didn't remember that this was their brother. That's why he said he came into his own received him not. They didn't remember this is your brother, and you gave him up to a Gentile, to the heathen, to be killed. And you and then they turned around and chased him with the sword. They didn't have no pity on him whatsoever. Even when you look at what he said about with Ammon, that they ripped up the women with child at Gilead, that they might enlarge their border. Don't you sit back and realize they ripped him up when he was with child? When he was up there on that tree and they put that spear with it, he was with child. We just looked at this the other day. He was travailing in birth, right? And what they came and did with that spear, ripped him up while he was with child. Because they said, we're going to lose our place of nation. They was trying to enlarge their border and what they could keep. You know what I'm talking about? He said, man, look at that. Tearing up the union, separating the brotherhood between Yasharal and Yehuda. But then let's look at this last part where he said, I'll kindle a fire and with shouting in the day of battle and with tempest in the day of the whirlwind. I want you to look in Jeremiah 23. Y'all know what a whirlwind is? What's a whirlwind, what?
Meaningful work.
So there's another word for it in modern terms. Yeah, another one too. They just had one they say was about 200 miles an hour. Jeremiah 23 and 19 or 18. A hurricane. Don't you realize you see them tornadoes and hurricane? You about to read what the man say when they come down to that. He say, but who have stood in the counsel of Yahuwah, and who have perceived and heard his word? Who have marked his word and heard it? Behold, a whirlwind of Yahuwah is gone forth in fury, even a grievous whirlwind. It shall fall grievously upon the head of the wicked. The anger of Yahuwah shall not return until he have executed, till he have performed the thoughts of his heart. And the latter days you shall consider it perfectly. He also said he would hit them with a tempest of fire too, right? Well, look at 2 Peter chapter 3. Y'all already know this. He going to recompense all those that did unto him. He said, but we didn't read that verse in Jeremiah chapter 20 last night. But Jeremiah turned around and said, for all those who did this to me, render back into their bosom. Give them a recompense. Pay them back. 2 Peter 3 and about 9. Hamashiach is not slack concerning his promise, as men count slackness, but is long suffering to us ward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. But the day of Yahuwah will come as a thief of the night, in which the Shamahim shall pass away with great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat, and the earth also and the works that are therein shall be burnt up. Then he say he'll hit him with a sword too, right? Then he say he'll burn him up with fire too, right? And hit him with the whirlwind. Let's sit back and look at what hitting him with that whirlwind. It fall right on the head in Revelation chapter 9. Let's see what it's about. Revelation 9. Let me see what verse 17 got going on. 17 ain't what the hell that. We're looking at about 9 and 1. We also got to deal with, he said he'll take his kings and his princes and lock them up too, right? Saying the fifth Malachim sounded, and I saw a star from Shamahim fall from Shamahim unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power as scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of Elohim in their foreheads. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he strike a man. And in those days men shall seek death and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. Now, the verse I had in my mind, it'll probably come up in my head when we get past it. You know, he said he would make hail fall from the ground about big as a town and crack men upside their head. Any of y'all ever been hit by hail before? You been hit by some hail, Brian? It hurt. You know what I'm saying? I done heard hail hit cars, and I done heard some hail big enough on some houses, boy, sound like bricks falling out of the sky. When they big enough, like hail size as golf balls, hail size as baseball, ain't nothing but a big old ball of ice. You know what I'm talking about? Now you know where that hail come from. It come from thunderstorms, usually. You know what I'm talking about? You know what a good sign was of y'all being in the whirlwind? Y'all remember that Superstorm Sandy? Y'all got affected by that where y'all was at? With that Superstorm Sandy, y'all remember that?
I thought he said Stanley. Sandy was like 2010.
No, probably about 2013. Y'all was affected by that? That was a big old storm too, wasn't it? A lot of rain, a lot of hail, a lot of thunderstorm. That further north it went, it flooded the whole East Coast. Because all that wrath was going to fall on the heads of the wicked. And in the latter days, they would consider it perfectly. When we turn around and look at, we were talking about this a little bit the other day. They don't even put on the news no more about all the strange weather events that happen in the world, because there's so many of them. You know what I'm saying? They don't talk about all the dead fish and dead animals and dead birds that be popping up, because there's so many of them. You know what I'm saying? That hurricane that was in the Gulf, that was coming up through Mexico, ain't nobody never seen no hurricane that big before. These people were astonished. This thing was a Category 5. Well, they said Category 5 is like 200 miles an hour plus. You know what I'm saying? Katrina wasn't even that big. Huh? Katrina was a 4. I think Hurricane Andrew back in 92 that hit Miami was like a 4. Hurricane Hugo that rolled past here and went through South Carolina, that was like a 4. You know what I'm talking about? But you talking about a 5? And that's all a hurricane is wind going in a whirlwind. Truth be told, that's all a thunderstorm is. Just wind and cloud going in a whirlwind. You know what I'm talking about? He say he walk in the whirlwind. Matter of fact, look at Nahum, chapter 1. He'll tell you that. One and one. He get around here crawling. The burden of Nineveh, the book of the vision of Nahum, the Elkoshite. Elohim is jealous, Yahuwah revenge. Yahuwah revenge and is furious. Yahuwah will take vengeance on his adversaries, he reserves wrath for his enemies. Yahuwah is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. Yahuwah have his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. So when you sit back and you see him talking about that he gonna drop on the whirlwind, okay then. When you sit back and you look at that, he say he a whirlwind, right? All those who remember, he say anybody who is not circumcised in their flesh is not a part of his covenant, and they will be destroyed. Anybody who's not circumcised in their heart, they're gonna be destroyed. This man sat back and say, I'm gonna remember now. If you walk contrary to a Mashiach, he said, I'll walk contrary to you because you walk contrary to me. And because you walk contrary to me, therefore my wrath will fall upon thee, because you'll be guilty of my body and my blood. Therefore, he said you would have broken that brotherly covenant, which means you done took the blood of the son of Elohim and counted it an unkadesh thing, and done despite the spirit of grace. And that means you pursued him with the sword. That means you cast off all pity. That means you broke the brotherly covenant. And therefore that tempest and that whirlwind is going to fall upon your head. That fire is going to fall upon your head. Let me read the last thing in Amos. I'm going to call it, make sure I missed that last part. The last thing he said in Amos is, their king shall go into captivity, he and his princes together, saith Yahuwah, because of the transgression. Now I'm going to ask you brothers a question. Who is this king and who are the princes? Who is the king and who are the princes? We already read about him already. Who is the king and who are the princes? Who is the king, like? He say he say the king and his princes are going to captivity, right? That's what it said, right? Who is the king and who are the princes that's going into captivity?
Yes.
Brian, who is the king and who are the princes that's going into captivity? Because the whirlwind and the tempest and the fire ain't falling on the Mashiach, it's for his wrath. So who is the king and princes going into captivity? Huh? You got an idea? Pale Glover, you got an idea? You got an idea?
Yeah, man.
Who is the king and princes that's going into captivity because of these transgressions? Casting off the brotherly covenant. Who do you think that could be though? He say a tempest and a whirlwind gonna fall upon these things. And we sit back looking at that hail and that whirlwind and these storms and all these plagues and these woes gonna fall on the people, right? Before he come back here. And the world gonna be burned up with fire when he get back here. Then who's the king and princes that's going into captivity? Revelation chapter 2.
What is Revelation what?
Chapter 20. And verse 1. And I saw a Malachim come down from Shamahim, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid on that hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And then after that he must be loosed a little season. So him and his homeboys, they all get locked up. You know, that's the second witness for that, because you know Isaiah told you about that too. Look at Isaiah 24 and 23, just so you know.
Oh.
21 or 20. Listen what he say gonna go down with the earth at this man's return. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. Because when the Mashiach come to put these people down, it ain't coming up again. It's going to be the reign of Yahuwah forevermore. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahuwah shall punish the host of the high ones that are on high, and the kings of the earth upon the earth, and they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered into a pit in the pit, and they shall be shut up in the prison, and after many days shall they be visited. That's why he say the prince of this world has been judged. That's why he said, I told the beginning from the end and the end from the beginning, because those that know me will know the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. There'll be no way that this man could be able to come through and deceive. You know, remember we talked about him deceiving people before, right? And the things that he would work. There would be no way for him to do that, because you would know your power. You already know the word about Elijah making fire come down from heaven. You already know Deuteronomy 13 talk about if a false prophet come working signs and wonders and the wonder come to pass, follow not after him. I did this to see whether or not you love Yahuwah or not, which is why Mashiach say, I keep you from the hour of temptation that come upon to try the whole world, because the law done already told you what you supposed to do. No matter what you see go on around you, what does the word say do? Then you would know the difference between the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. That would not happen. Revelation 19 and 10. And I saw Shamahim open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. And his eyes were a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Elohim. And the armies which were in Shamahim followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and rule them with a rod of iron, and tread them with the winepress and the fierceness of the wrath of Almighty Elohim. So you turn around and you look at it, this is why he say, cursed is him that don't obey this covenant. The covenant has already been broken, that the curse could be lifted off. You know, we kind of talked about that last night, right? About him redeeming us from the curse because he became a curse. You know what I'm talking about? Even when you turn around and we look at Ruth, Ruth was redeemed by Boaz because her husband had done died. You know what I'm talking about? So he was pulling you back from a curse, and then she ends up doing what? Birthing Obed, who births Jesse, who births David, who in the line, who ends up being a man after Yah's own heart, who ends up doing what? Getting a covenant made with him that the royal seed, the Savior, would come from him. You know what I'm talking about? Through that redemption, redeeming her from a curse because she was without. You know what I'm talking about? So when we turn around and we look at all these things, this man breaking this covenant of beauty, so death could be broken from us. To carry on what we were talking about last night, you offer yourself as a peace offering, and if you stand in awe and sin not and commune with your own heart and offer the sacrifices of righteousness, then your soul may be saved. And to also look back at those who were a gazing stock because of reproaches and afflictions, and that you can become a companion with them. So when you turn around and you look at that, we're supposed to become a companion with a Mashiach in his sufferings. Paul say don't to not be scared to take on the afflictions of the gospel. You know what I'm talking about? Be partakers of the afflictions of the gospel. You know what I'm talking about? Most people don't want to be a partaker of these afflictions because these afflictions come with suffering. This suffering is supposed to lead to obedience. This obedience is supposed to remove pride from you, to humble you, that he might hear you and that he might save you, that the captain of your salvation might lead you unto glory. A lot of people don't want to do that. You know, a lot of brothers, and rightfully so, you're supposed to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. You're supposed to do that. Oh, this thing cut off. You're supposed to do that. But when you focus on that alone, and you don't look at the righteousness of faith and the behavior that it's supposed to produce, you know what I'm talking about? Then you're going to have a problem, because in actuality, your heart not going to be circumcised, because you actually don't believe in the Mashiach. You seeking to be justified by, see, you owe me because I did this, and not that you owe him because he did that. You understand what I'm telling you? See, we owe him. He don't owe us anything. We owe him. That's why he says it's your reasonable service to serve. But praise Yah for Yahushua HaMashiach in the word. We'll stop it right there. It's about 18 minutes to